It's The List and your boy with Jimmy Van and Shawn Ross Sapp.
All right, we're live.
What's up, you guys? Shawn Ross Sapp, managing editor of Fightful.com, FightfulWrestling.com, FightfulMMA.com. We got them all. It's Wednesday, January 10th. It's time for The List and your boy, number 54? Number 54, Jimmy?
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
Suck that coffee down. Get yourself in a good mood. You were so pissy off air.
All I was doing was just giving you some commentary on certain numbers that I wasn't happy with.
Sure.
That's all. So all I was doing.
And the Usos.
All I said was the Usos' real life personas suck on talking smack. They suck and they're an embarrassment whenever they're their real life selves.
Talking Smack got canceled like 6 months ago.
Yeah, but they did the thing at Fastlane. They did like a version of it after Fastlane, and the Usos were on there as themselves, and they're embarrassing whenever they're themselves. And that's just a fact. You're never going to see those idiots on Jimmy Fallon or on Kimmel or on Conan O'Brien, because Vince McMahon would never put those guys into a mainstream interview when they talk like they're 12. Like, it just wouldn't happen. I'm just being honest. So sometimes honesty, man, is the way to go, even if it's brutal honesty, right?
Hey, sure. I prefer that. We got a lot going on, a lot in the news. We also have a lot going on at Fightful. If you all haven't checked it out, we did a lot of New Japan coverage last week. We did 2005 Royal Rumble match alternate commentary. Also, we have a giveaway right now over on our Instagram. Go over to Instagram.com/FightfulOnline. You can get a free Fightful t-shirt. Like and repost, and you will be entered to win. The contest ends on January 16th. Fightful.com, or actually rather Instagram.com/FightfulOnline. Make sure you follow as well.
I gotta say, your hair's starting to look good, man.
Is it?
It's starting to.
Wow. Nigel, is that a 180 or is that a 180?
Yeah, that's
It's starting to. So right now, you look like Nigel from about 6 months ago, I'd say. And it's starting to come along. You don't have the Billy Batty ponytail going anymore, so that's pretty good.
Nigel.
So, what?
I did about 3 minutes before we went on air. And I was
Oh, you took it out?
Nigel goes, you know he's going to bust your balls. And I was like, ah, shit.
Yes, I was. And this looks better, and it's also not soaking wet like you like just jumped out of a pond. So it looks good, man. It's starting to get there.
Are you jealous?
No, I could see. Here's one thing: people sometimes because I keep my hair short, people, especially after I first cut my hair, people will tease me and say I'm bald. I have a perfectly normal hairline, as you can see. And if I wanted to grow my hair out, I could. I choose not to. I like it like this. It's convenient.
You should
Shawn.
grow it out. That should be
Never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. It's just too much work.
Shame.
So we should talk about something, Shawn. So on
Talk about a lot of things.
yeah, there's a lot to talk about. So on I think it was the Friday before New Year's, if I'm not mistaken. The Friday before New Year's, I was running errands that morning, and Shawn Ross Sapp texted me. And he said, Jimmy, are you going to the office today? And I said, yeah, I'll probably be in later. And you said, there's something for you. So he had claimed that he had gotten a second Christmas present, right, from me. The first one was like Kentucky stuff. So there was like potato chips and jerky. And I gave that to Lindsay's team. So I gave it to Lindsay and Nigel and Melissa and that team. Then you said that there was another one coming for me. And I was expecting, okay, there's going to be like KFC coupons and Monster Energy drinks.
We're not down with KFC here, man. KFC sucks.
Okay, well, there you go. And I thought maybe, I don't know, cat food or maybe some microwave lasagna. I figured it was going to be something Shawn Ross Sapp-esque. You outdid yourself, Shawn.
I did.
And I actually had an ear-to-ear smile when I opened this. I did. And I thought it was good. So I've got this thing for the unveil today, and ironically enough, news dropped today that's related. So
yeah,
it worked out. So anybody that's listening to this show and not watching the audio or not watching the video, you might want to hop on YouTube later on and check this out. Here is the gift from Shawn Ross Sapp to myself. Take a look at that beauty. Right there.
The man, Ed Nordholm.
This is a little canvas. He got like a look at this. It's a little canvas.
This print.
And you said you took it off social media?
I tracked it down.
You tracked it down? You went
As
on his...
Matt Riddle says, I did my extra work.
Okay, no. Either his Twitter, his Facebook, or his LinkedIn. You got this photo right there. I got it. And Ed Nordholm, for anybody that might be a new listener, Ed Nordholm was my whipping boy for 2017, and I fully admit it. because when it came to poor business decisions, he was the king of the mountain. This guy. So,
I love that it almost perfectly matches up with the size of your head when you put it up.
we should get a screenshot of that right there, like that, and then you can say that you had him as a guest on the show, Shawn. So there you go.
Phenomenal.
Yeah,
Phenomenal.
So I thought that was pretty cool. I like that. And we should say along those lines, so Matt Hardy posted a tweet today. This is January 10th that we're doing this. And what was the tweet referencing? That they've settled their issues over the IP?
Yes, they have settled their issues, which is good because WWE had rendered that gimmick, just him laughing, and it sucked.
I agree.
It was not good.
I agree.
Didn't like it. Although I will say that if somebody pitched to me, hey, we're going to run an angle where just Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy laugh at each other,
right.
I could sit there and honestly say, I've heard worse ideas
right
this year. So
okay, let me ask you this question. So now that they've supposedly settled their IP issues, what can he add to the character? Because Senior Benjamin was not under contract Impact. His wife was not under contract Impact. Clearly the kid, they can't do anything about that. How are they... I think that he was laughing Matt Hardy not because of IP restraints. I think he was laughing Matt Hardy because Vince McMahon doesn't know what to do with the character.
That could very well be true.
So how is anything going to change?
It might not.
Right.
I mean, it's at least another ripple that makes it a little more promising of a possibility. I think what they need more than anything are two things. They need Matt Hardy's creativity, and they need Jeremy Borash, because those were the two guys.
I mean, they're not going to get
guys.
Yeah, they're not going to get Jeremy Borash. No,
they're not getting Borash.
No.
Now they do have enough people involved to be creative enough and help them with things, but you have to let it be as ridiculous as it. That is the comic relief of the show. Is this weird off the wall character, and you have to let it be whatever he envisions it to be. Because I mean, if you remember, when that thing first happened, some people thought it was the worst thing ever in wrestling history.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Yeah,
it's not my cup of tea, but like I've always talked about, that doesn't mean others can't like it. So I'm not going to shit on people that do like it. Like the Young Bucks. You and I were joking about the Young Bucks yesterday, and I was joking around about if I saw them at the airport with other wrestlers, I'd ask them to hold my bag so I could get my camera ready for the wrestlers. I was joking with Shawn about that. Yeah. But just because I'm not a Young Bucks guy doesn't mean that others can't be. And same thing with Broken Matt Hardy. I just kind of questioned when I saw that photo with Ed Nordholm how it's going to make anything better, because I feel like they've already damaged the character in WWE.
They have, but I don't think it's been long enough to where it can't be repaired.
That's fair.
Speaking of Impact and repairs, I don't know if you had this on your list, but switching from a 6-sided ring to a 4-sided ring.
I did have that on my list. I saw that. I'm indifferent, to be honest with you. They did the 4-sided ring before under the Hogan regime. Went back to 6. Now they're back to 4. I don't know. I saw something you posted about how, well, when it's a 6-sided ring, it's a lot tighter. The ropes are tighter, which makes sense. The angles, I agree with you, are very odd when you're like doing an Irish whip in with a guy. He's got to really focus for that corner when it's a 6-sided ring. So I agree. It's more traditional.
Wrestling schools don't usually teach you how to wrestle in a 6-sided ring, and that can affect things.
Right.
The first time I ever bumped in one, I didn't ever want to bump in one again. It's really stiff. It's constructed a little bit differently. It's a little sturdier, not from a positive aspect, but everybody I've spoken to in Impact thus far is elated that they don't have to bump on a 6-sided ring again. And I mean, when you have footage from other promotions, like when you got BCW and stuff like that, sending in their footage and they're running at a 4-sided ring, just go ahead and do it. I mean, the gimmick's over. Like, really, okay, are the 200,000 people who watch your show going to leave because of the 6-sided ring? If so, what the hell? What's it matter? The 4-sided ring is easier to blend into things. It's just
When did you work in a 6-sided ring?
I didn't work in one. I bumped in one. A local promoter had one. He was a total money mark, and like, I hate to use that term, but he really was. He bought one just because he thought he was going to run shows with one and stuff. He eventually sold it. He had it put up, and it was not good. When I hit the ropes, they were like really, really tight. And I've been in rings that have rope and cable, and this is like cable multiplied because it was such a short distance in between the turnbuckles.
Right.
It just wasn't a lot of fun. But
right.
The wrestlers seem happy.
Are the rope lengths more or less the same as the 4-sided ring?
No,
just kind of stretched out. No,
shorter.
they are long. They're shorter.
Yeah, they're shorter.
Really?
Much shorter, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. Good for everybody involved, I guess. We'll see how the Impact tapings go with the new regime of Callis and D'Amore. It's going on for, the next 6 days, I think?
Yes.
So we'll see how that all goes.
Fightful.com. We'll have all the results.
Maybe I'll be checking it out with Ed Nordholm over here. We'll see.
Hell yeah, man.
So WWE Raw's 25th anniversary episode is in 2 weeks on January 22nd. Going to be airing from 2 locations, Barclays Center in Brooklyn and the Manhattan Center, which was the original location of Raw in New York. Now, they're announcing more and more guys for the show. A lot of them are what I would call the typical guys, because, whenever they do any kind of a old-school show, there's a certain group of guys that are always on the show. Mm-hmm. And what was the last one they did? Was it the 100th episode or something?
1,000.
Well, okay, sorry, 1,000. And they brought in a lot of these same guys.
Well,
right?
I think they actually did the 20th anniversary most recently, and then they did Raw 1,000 right before that because they were like 6 months apart.
Okay. So previously they announced that The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler, John Cena, and Brock Lesnar were going to be there. On Raw this week, they did a video package that had additional names in it. They had DX, which is Triple H, Shawn, Billy Gunn, and the Road Dogg. They had the APA, Ron Simmons and JBL, Ric Flair, Scott Hall, the Dudleys, the Bellas, and Steve Austin. The Bellas I thought was notable because that's probably going to pave the way for them to be in the Rumble, which I kind of expected. And now they've announced that The Godfather, and again, these are the guys that typically they'll have doing segments like this. The Godfather, Brother Love, The Boogeyman, Teddy Long, Ted DiBiase, John Laurinaitis, and Sergeant Slaughter are all going to be part of the 25th anniversary show. So there you go.
Pritchard was perhaps the most surprising to me with his podcast and some of the stuff he's kind of put out there and things.
Think so? I mean, he didn't leave. Like, there was no bitterness when he left, was there?
Well, it depends. He did a podcast about it, but I mean, like, he was one of Vince's right-hand men for a long time.
That's it. Yeah.
All of a sudden canned and then goes to TNA. So, I mean, it did surprise me a little bit, but good for him. I mean, that's what they do, though. That's what WWE does.
Yeah, it did surprise me.
Would they have brought him back before all this? I don't know.
They wouldn't have had a need to.
It's like the thing is, well, I mean, do they need to bring back the Godfather? No.
Well, no, but he's one of those guys they always do,
You're almost better off just saying unfiltered what you think about WWE than just playing nice with them. Like, I saw so many people on and of course I've interviewed some too that will try to play nice with WWE when they either shouldn't be or they don't really feel that way. Mm-hmm. And then you never see them in WWE again. Never. But you have Kurt Hawkins who did like a timeline with Sean Oliver, and he was just calling them out for some of the stupid shit they did. And then a year later, there he is back in WWE, and he's not a big star, but he's back there.
I mean, you think there's any chance that Vince just, and whoever the powers that be are aside from Vince, just haven't even seen that stuff?
Oh, Vince knows about it.
About him, about Kurt Hawkins doing a shoot
Hawkins.
video? Yeah.
I thought you meant Pritchard thing.
No.
Pritchard thing. No, they probably don't have any damn clue. I mean, some of them do.
Yeah.
Because there are fans of shoot interviews and podcasts and stuff that work for WWE.
Right. Well, it's going to be very interesting. I'm interested to see, are they going to put Lawler and Jim Ross at the Manhattan Center? And I kind of think they will. And I'm interested to see what matches go where. I'm guessing the Dudleys will be in the Manhattan Center because that's the whole ECW feel from that venue. I'm curious, what matches they put on where. And we'll see what happens. There's also been a lot of speculation that Taker might come back from Mania again, and if he does, maybe they're going to tease something with him and Cena because that's the rumor about those two guys. So that'll be interesting. Now this next thing.
Sorry to interrupt. Glad it's only 3 hours. Man, that 5-hour rumor. Even David T's messaged me, and he's a machine. He's like, this 5-hour thing. Can you check on that? And I was like, yeah. And WEPR got back to me, said it's 3 hours as normal.
That would have sucked if it was 5 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So the event coming up that's your favorite, the Mixed Match Challenge on Facebook. I know you can't wait for this. You're a big fan of the format. It's going to be starting next week on Facebook, and they have now announced all of the teams for Raw and for SmackDown. Do I need to rhyme them all off, Sean?
No, you don't.
There's a lot of them.
We have a list on Fightful.com.
I'll mention the ones that are the most interesting to me. So I think that Bayley and Elias is interesting. I think Rusev and Lana is really good because I want them back together on television, so that's good. Jimmy Uso and Naomi makes sense. I kind of feel bad for Shinsuke Nakamura. They put him with Natalya, so he's probably out the first round. Good for him. Finn Balor and Sasha Banks is, I guess, kind of interesting, even though Finn looks to be turning heel, which we'll get to in a minute. Now, the one thing I wanted to mention was for Bayley's partner, they announced on Raw that there was going to be a fan voting, and it was Samoa Joe, Elias, or Jason Jordan, and the winner was going to team with Bayley in the Mixed Match Challenge. Kurt Angle announced on Twitter on Tuesday that Samoa Joe won the voting, but he's not able to compete due to injury, and so Elias was going to team with her. When that news first came out, there were a ton of responses to Kurt Angle's tweet basically calling bullshit and saying he was just on Raw, that's bullshit, they don't want him teaming with Bayley, it's a ruse. But apparently, Dr. Chris Amon from WWE says that he ruptured tissue under his foot during his match with Rhino on Raw and has to undergo an MRI. So it makes sense that they'd want to have him off the road that extra day.
He has plantar fasciitis. It's a thing that Dominic Cruz has dealt with. It's not, he didn't develop it the same way Dominic Cruz did. Dominic Cruz has said that he got it, and it's something I had before too, and it's inflammation, and it's basically the heel and the arch of your foot. Like, it's more of a nagging, annoying, really, like, it's very painful, but he could work through it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, better safe than sorry.
Yep,
and
I agree.
Maybe it is a way to get him out. But Dominic Cruz said he got it because he spent so much time on the shelf not doing anything, letting his knee heal, that when he got back into camp, he went a little too hard and his body wasn't ready for it. So I've been told that Samoa Joe won't miss significant time for this, but he may miss a week or two or just be on like backstage segments or interviews or something like that.
Right. Okay. And now back to Finn Balor. Is he going full heel? What do you think?
I don't think so. I think they should keep him just as is.
Like a tweener almost.
He seems so comfortable.
Yeah.
Despite that horrible backstage promo that they had those guys cut, I thought that, I mean, even a horrible backstage promo that they cut was better than most of the things. Did you notice Corey Graves' little comment he made?
What was that?
They traveled the world with the one goal to be the elite.
Right.
Bullet Club reference there.
Yeah. Well, they officially called themselves the Balor Club, which is whatever.
They got merch to sell, I guess.
I guess. They could have done better than that, but whatever. So they call themselves
the Good Brother Club is even better than that.
That's up for debate too. But
you hate everything. So.
No, I'm honest. I'm honest about it. I will say this. I mean, obviously for Finn Balor, you look at where he was last year. The guy was cowering on the mat like a frightened deer, having fake blood poured on him by Bray Wyatt. When you look at that and you look at this, I'll take this any day.
Oh, hell yeah.
So good on him for that. He definitely looks happy when he's out there. Big smile on his face. Seems to really dig it. Him and Carl Anderson especially are really tight. And Luke Gallows, kind of on a side note, I guess, he just announced today, January 10, that he's going to be heading up a new wrestling school in Jenkinsburg, Georgia, called the Good Brothers Dojo. And the fees are actually very reasonable for a wrestling school. Enrollment is $500. The monthly dues are $200. And you can email goodbrothersdojo@gmail.com for details. So, good for him. He's married to April O'Neil, right?
I don't think. Who? Luke?
Yeah.
I don't think anymore.
Okay, because he was, right?
No, he was married to Amber Gallows, or the Bullet Babe.
Yeah, wasn't her name Amber O'Neil or April O'Neil or something? Amber O'Neil?
It wasn't April O'Neil. April O'Neil is in the fucking Ninja Turtles.
Oh, really? Amber O'Neil, then she was a female wrestler. His wife was a female wrestler.
Cowabunga, dude.
Of course, he knew immediately, right? Shawn got that immediately. Yeah, she was Amber. Whatever.
Did he portray Metalhead? Was he like Shredder and I didn't know it? Like what happened?
Oh man, he's gonna go on for 10 minutes about the Ninja Turtles, Nigel. 10 minutes about the Ninja Turtles.
It was a good time.
So, let's talk Wrestle Kingdom 12 in New Japan. I actually watched the match. Kenny Omega beat Chris Jericho. They had almost 40,000 people at the Tokyo Dome. You and I talked a little bit about this, so I thought it was a really good match. I thought it was a very different Chris Jericho from what we'd seen in WWE. Very snug, very stiff, especially a lot of the kicks and chair shots too. Jericho was a lot less PG, flipping off the crowd and stuff like that. Got blood in the match too, so I really, really liked the match. Also liked how responsive the crowd was, because typically the Japanese have the reputation of being quiet during a match. And they were, they would ooh when Jericho put Red Shoe Son in the walls of Jericho. That's the referee's son. Put him in the walls of Jericho. They laughed when he sat in the chair. When Jericho sat in a folding chair for a second to get a breather, they laughed about that. And they applauded the lion salt. Now, I will say this, though. It seems like right now on the internet, New Japan and Ring of Honor is the cool thing to like as a wrestling fan. And so when the show was over and when the match was over, I read a lot of the internet comments and stuff. People were treating this like the second coming of Christ, this match.
It was. I told you all that was missing was a baby in a manger.
You did say that. You did say that.
That's literally what I said. Yes.
I thought to myself, it was a good match, but was it the greatest thing in the history of the universe? No, it wasn't.
There are some people who maybe aren't religious that would say it's the first coming of Christ.
Maybe they would. Maybe they would.
I thought it was great. I rewatched it on Saturday, and I got to say this. I love the people at Access, but man, that JR commentary with Josh Barnett was not anywhere in the territory of Kevin Kelly and Don Callis. I thought Kevin Kelly and Don Callis did such an incredible job. I thought that match had a little bit of everything, and maybe because I tapered my expectations, I gave it such a high rating on my match ratings at Fightful.com. But I did. I thought it was one of the best matches I had ever seen. I really enjoyed it. And I think because of the versatility of the match, Jimmy, is why I did that. Like, there was a brawl, there were like weapons used, there was high flying, there were power moves, there were great counters, there was drama, there was blood. Chris Jericho put Red Shoes' son in the walls of Jericho and screamed out, "Look at your son!"
Yeah.
Like,
there were little things I liked too.
Heel.
I liked when Jericho had the walls on Omega at one point, and Omega grabbed the rope, and the referee was condoning Jericho. Jericho looked at him and said, "It's no DQ, you idiot."
Yeah,
stuff like that I like. Now, I will say this. Personal opinion, I might get heat for this. I didn't think Jericho was at his best. I didn't think he looked at his best. I thought he looked a little out of shape. I thought that Omega's an elite level talent. And I thought that Omega...
Unattended?
Huh? Yes, unattended, yeah.
Unintended. Not unattended. What the hell are you talking about?
Whatever.
Unintended is the term.
Not intended.
Jimmy, turtle power. Get your head in the game.
All right. But I thought that he kind of made up for Jericho a little bit in this matchup.
Yeah.
Not saying Jericho was bad. He wasn't. He was good. But I thought Omega kind of made up for him because he's just like, upper echelon talent, that guy.
And I think he knew that he was going to have to a little bit. So
Right.
I thought they delivered so well. There were some things that I didn't necessarily like Red Shoes being all extra. Like, I don't like him as a ref. And when Jericho had Omega locked in the Lion Tamer, Red Shoes is down there like in between the camera and Omega's face. You do not do that.
Right.
Like,
he didn't realize.
I know, but he should. Somebody should tell him. And a lot of people were saying, well, why was there a count out and why was there a rope break? Well, no DQ doesn't mean you can pin somebody outside the ring. Once you are in the ropes, you are outside the ring. It'd be like stepping out of bounds on a football field, something like that. That doesn't mean Jericho has to break the hold, and some people ask, well, why did he? Because holding that thing is fucking exhausting.
Right.
Holding a Boston Crab that
and
long.
he did hold it for a while. It's not like he released it right away, right? And one other thing I want to say, and this is, people aren't going to like this either probably, I'm not a big fan of the one-winged angel as a finisher. I'm just not.
Oh, really? Why is that?
I thought it looked good when he dropped him on the chair for the pin. I thought that looked good. Problem is the setup of it, because Jericho is actually up there like balancing himself. You know what I mean? And I think he delivered it twice. On one of them, Jericho literally was holding onto his shoulders, like to balance himself. And I was like, okay, yeah, wrestling's predetermined, and I get that. But now I'm having to kind of get out of my suspension of disbelief because I'm watching Jericho up there balance himself so he could take the move. So for that reason, I wasn't a big fan. I was watching that thinking, why? I realize it looks cool because he picks him up in the electric chair. But you could do the same thing through a fireman's carry. It doesn't look
I was just thinking that.
Doesn't look as cool, but it's just more fluid of emotion.
Yeah, I think the way that, or at least my insinuation, is that Kenny Omega wanted something of his own. And, Chris Sabin, tons of other people have done that fireman's carry into the Michinoku driver type of thing. But, there is always like a constant, like, got to have your own thing, got to have something new. Because, look at Jay White. Jay White's getting a push in New Japan, and he's using the Sister Abigail. So
Right. I mean, I guess that makes sense. I'm not a big fan of that finisher. Now, something else we should mention is that, so Wrestle Kingdom was on a Thursday. The next night, they had New Year's Dash at Corkin Hall, and Jericho made a surprise appearance on that, and he attacked Tetsuya Naito. When you look at Fozzie's schedule, and I think you mentioned this on the show last week, when you look at Fozzie's tour schedule, they have an opening currently between March 16 and March 27. They have 11 days of no shows. New Japan has a show March 25, the Strong Style Evolve show from Long Beach, California. Makes you think that maybe Jericho and Naito are going to have a match on that show. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Fightful will have a presence there, and it looks like we're going to have a presence on their Australian tour, too. They're doing some stuff, and that's kind of cool. I really like that. Also, they don't have a date during the first new beginning in Sapporo show, which is cutting it close because he's got to be in France the next day. And for all I know, with the time change and the difference there, it could be like a matter of 4 or 5 hours for all I know. Because I'm not that. I didn't read up on that enough, but I will. I like what they're making an effort, and I like that. They're making a real effort, and they're doing things that they need to do. I think they could optimize New Japan World a little more for English viewers, but because there is a real audience here that wants them. Apparently, they gained like 20 to 25,000 subscribers from this show alone, so that's good news. Yeah,
they're doing a lot, and not only the Aussie tour. So the Aussie tour is February 16 to 19. It's going to be 4 days, 4 cities. They're also doing the Fantastica Mania tour with CMLL out of Mexico. So they're everywhere doing all kinds of stuff, which is really cool. One other thing,
not a big fan of the Fantastica Mania, but that's just me. That's just a personal thing.
Because of the style conflict? Is that why?
Yeah, I mean, it can work, but a lot of times there just aren't important matches on that either, and it's just kind of a bummer.
One other thing about Jericho I want to mention. Normally, I consider him to be one of the smartest guys in the business. I consider him to be somebody that rarely does something that I consider to be ill-advised, let's say. On January 3rd, just before Wrestle Kingdom, he posted a piece of fan art on Twitter. It was a drawing of Jericho, and behind him it looked like there were almost ghosts of Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit. And there was a caption on the artwork that said, "Hey, New Japan, we're back." Jericho wrote, "I really like this fan art. I dedicate tomorrow's match to the Fallen Brothers." And as you can imagine, he got quite a bit of heat for that due to calling Benoit a fallen brother based on not just Benoit's actions, but also how he died. So I was a little surprised that he, I guess, wasn't thinking about that when he posted that, but that happened.
I think he was thinking about it, but I mean, as he had mentioned it on an Instagram stream, like he thinks about it every single day of his life. So, I mean, would I have done it if I were him? Probably not. But then again, I don't want to police how the man feels, because I'm sure that for the last 11 years, it's been something that's really messed with him. And I mean, it's a touchy subject. I mean, you know, I never spent any time with Chris Benoit, and it's weird watching his matches. So
I saw a clip from, you remember when Cena did the speaking tour in Australia?
Yes.
I saw a clip from that, and I was actually pleasantly surprised because I thought it was going to be softball questions. So he was basically on stage, and the people in the audience would ask him questions. I only saw maybe a 10-minute clip of it, and I thought it was going to all be softball questions and a bunch of bullshit, and maybe most of it was. But one person in the crowd actually asked him about Chris Benoit and his stance on WWE's handling of it in terms of, you know, being mentioned, not being mentioned, the network, whatever. And Cena addressed it very politically, because Cena's trained on that stuff. So he addressed it very politically, but he still addressed it. And I thought that was good.
Yep. As Aaron Hayden, one of our great feature writers, mentioned, New Japan World needs to be on PS4. Yeah, it does. Fight Pass does too. Like UFC Fight Pass not being on PS4 like 4 years into their deal. That's weird. Also worth mentioning, Fozzy does not have tour dates set through the Australia shows.
Okay.
And Jericho does like to travel, so that's always a possibility. And I don't actually see a date for Fozzy at the end of this month like I thought there was. I thought there was one on at the 28th or something, the night of Royal Rumble or something like that, but I guess there's not, so that's open too. And obviously he's going to do something else with him, and Naito's a good one to do it with. So
can you imagine if he did the Royal Rumble and then 2 weeks later he did New Japan in Australia? Be amazing. That'd be amazing.
Be cool.
Yeah, it would be.
And they were leaning. WWE was kind of leaning towards stuff like that a couple years ago with Samoa Joe.
Right.
And then he started to work some more ROH dates, and they were like, no, we're gonna sign him.
Right.
Like they weren't gonna lock him up. They were just gonna have him come in. But
Right.
that's very, very interesting. So New Japan ran their show on a Thursday. This Thursday, MLW's got their 0 hour. It features Matt Riddle, former Fightful.com podcaster. And many of you may remember Stokely Hathaway doing a run-in on the Matt Riddle show, in which many of our viewers looked at as one of their most fondly remembered moments of our year. I spoke to Stokely Hathaway for an interview. You'll see it in 2 parts here, but about why Matt Riddle is so scared of him. I am joined now by Stokely Hathaway, who Fightful fans are going to remember for leaving Matt Riddle shook as fuck on the air. Stokely.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty accurate a description.
That was
he's not on today, is he?
That was ranked among the most, I guess, fondly remembered Fightful moments of 2017.
And rightfully so. You know, I just remember the look of I would say terror on like Riddle's face. You know, when he saw me appear, you know, I think I'll be 80 years old and I'll still remember that moment. You know, to be able to scare a former UFC fighter, I mean, dude, it gets no bigger than that.
He clutched his championship belts when you appeared on the screen. Like,
Of course.
Like that
he knew that they were in danger.
That is the thing. People can go back and look. Like, he held on to them like he was afraid he was going to lose them. Here's my question in relation to Riddle. You think he's going to book you on his big WrestleMania weekend show?
I mean, you know, I called him out last night, and then I later learned that I was banned from competing, I think because he was scared of me, you know, knocking him out again. So I completely understand if he waives that ban, you know, like I'll be down. Like, let's do it. WrestleMania weekend, all for it.
I'm just saying, he said it's definitely a possibility that I would get booked against people that I could absolutely beat. So anything's possible, as they say, as Kevin Garnett says. Now, you're managing Low Key at MLW 0 Hour. How did the relationship with both Low Key and MLW come about?
I mean, you know, I have to give all credit to Court Bauer. I've been in talks with MLW since I would say middle of last year. You know, I inherited Black Friday management from the late great Gary Hart, and you know, Low Key was a part of that. And so, you know, now we're stuck in this situation where MVP, he has a debt to me. He chooses not to pay that debt. So, you know, when you make certain decisions, there are repercussions and consequences. And so his repercussions and consequences, you know, he has to go one-on-one with the legendary Low Key. And I guarantee you, at the end of that match, he's going to be so apologetic and sorry that he ever crossed me. So that's how we got here.
If you had to wrestle in one of the two men's gear, Low Key's full-on suit or MVP's bodysuit, which would you least like to compete in?
I think the bodysuit is probably a little uncomfortable. I mean, it's already tacky, so I would have to go with the suit.
Is there anybody else in MLW you have your eye on?
I mean, it's a lot of talented people there. I mean, Brody King, I mean, that's a dude who, I mean, you know, he took it to MVP, that last match that they had. I mean, he is a standout star. Of course, MJF, Maxwell, Jacob Friedman, you know, Wheeler, Yuta. I mean, it's a lot of guys there who are just, you know, at the top of their game. And, you know, that's why you see them in MLW. You know, that's why you see them in other prominent promotions. You know, those are the guys that are leading the charge right now. So I would love to have them in Black Friday management and the Dream Team or Catch Point, whatever. You know, I just want to be, you know, a part of that future generation. So, yeah, lots of guys.
It's pretty cool to see MLW back. I mean, they had like over a decade away from promoting wrestling shows, and now they're back, and they've just got all this talent on the roster. Like it's loaded. Like you see people on there, like either they were in WWE or you could see them in WWE at any given moment. There's just so many. You kind of rose to prominence in Ring of Honor with Moose, who is now in Impact. You still keep in touch with him at all?
Yeah, I do. I actually talked to Moose. I talked to him, I think it was a few weeks ago. We don't talk as often as we used to, but, he's doing well. He's at Impact. He's very happy. He's doing his thing. I'm happy that, he chose his own path. Like I say it all the time, I truly believe that happiness is more important than money or, like status or whatever. And, Moose is like truly happy at Impact. And, it really can't get any better than that, Every time I talk to him, he'll say, when are you coming around? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I'll see you in Florida, when I'm there for you. But, yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's really good.
Why is it that Matt Riddle is so afraid of Stokely Hathaway?
He's just an intimidating figure, man.
Did you see the video that I referenced? Like, it was in our best of where Stokely pops up on the screen and Matt starts grabbing his championship.
And Matt was saying, "I'm speechless."
Yeah, I'm speechless.
My favorite one is still Elias Theodora when you put him on the screen.
Oh yeah.
And Matt Riddle was like, "I didn't think you were gonna pull up a stallion like that."
He goes,
he's like, "I thought I had this motherfucker in the bag."
He goes, "Who's booking the talent on this podcast?"
Awesome. So speaking of talent show, let me ask you this question. Prior to this,
how do I have so much of it? Well, let me tell you.
Yes. So
G-U-R-T-L-E power.
So prior to this morning, who did you think was going to win the Women's Royal Rumble, and has your opinion changed?
You know what? I didn't have an idea.
Okay, you didn't.
I didn't have an idea at all.
And your opinion hasn't changed after this morning?
My opinion, if I were to say didn't have an opinion, I would say I'm leaning Ronda Rousey.
Right.
Now,
I am too.
I want to be clear. I don't have any information that she has signed. I know as of last month, Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke hadn't.
Yep.
Obviously, Shayna Baszler is being positioned in a very big spot on NXT, but Triple H does not miss SmackDown in Alabama even to be on the other side of the country just to catch up with somebody.
Yep, I agree. And so in case anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, it was reported today, January 10th, by TMZ, that Triple H missed SmackDown TV because he was in L.A. Meeting with Ronda Rousey and her agent. And I think it'd be one thing if he was just hanging out with Ronda Rousey, because they've done that before, but her agent was at a dinner with Triple H. I saw that, and I thought she's going to be in the Royal Rumble. I mean, it seems pretty clear when you look at the timing. I don't know her status with the UFC, but if she doesn't plan to fight again, I'm sure the UFC has no problem letting her out of whatever contract she has.
Dana White has often said he doesn't want people to fight if they don't want to fight.
Exactly.
Well, he also said something like, if she just retired, all this USADA stuff would be over. USADA didn't test her last year.
Right.
USADA won't even tell us reporters who's in the pool, which I think is weird.
Right.
Like they should have to tell us, or maybe not have, they should tell us who's in the pool. Also, a must-watch interview, guys. Jeff Nowitzki of USADA on Joe Rogan's podcast was just enlightening.
Oh, yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. In my Fightful Wrestling Weekly this Friday, I'll expand a little bit on the Rousey thing, but I just don't think Triple H skips a SmackDown to go over there just to catch up with somebody. Also, I don't think that he goes out in L.A. and doesn't expect to be seen. You know what I'm saying?
He got out of there pretty quick.
Yeah.
TMZ, he left the restaurant first, and he bolted for an SUV. All TMZ was able to get was a dark phantom image of him behind the windshield. He got out of there pretty fast. Whereas Ronda Rousey's out there smiling and joking.
She's always like that, though. Like, people will ask her about WWE, and they'll be like, "Are you going to do it?" And she'll say stuff like, "Well, if I told you it wouldn't be that fun if I showed up, then would it?"
Right.
Like, She's pretty, I don't want to say completely transparent, but she's pretty transparent
Yeah.
about her willingness to do it.
Yeah, and I think they won't announce it in advance because the whole pay-per-view thing, it's not a necessity anymore. People are going to watch it already on the network. I don't think they'll announce it. I think she would be a surprise entrant. And I think that if Ronda Rousey is in the Royal Rumble, she will win it, I think. And I think they're going to set up her and Charlotte at WrestleMania. So, and that would be very interesting. That's an interesting matchup, her and Charlotte.
I thought that Charlotte from her NXT days should have been, to be honest, I thought that Charlotte should have got like the push that Asuka eventually got, which eventually Asuka did very well with. But I thought Charlotte had everything to be WWE's Ronda Rousey.
She still does.
She's special. She is very special.
Yep.
Which the thing is, they have a lot of special talent on there. It's just, man, the writing is so terrible.
I agree.
So bad.
I agree. I still look at Charlotte as kind of head and shoulders above everybody else. That's kind of how I look at her. So that'll be very interesting. We'll see how that goes. How's our time? Okay. So what was it, a month ago or so, we talked about how WWE was going to experiment with a 205 Live tour. And at the time, we were pretty clear in saying it was going to be a tough sell. They even added last minute Matt Hardy versus Bray Wyatt as the headlining match on all 3 shows of that tour, even though they're not cruiserweights because they needed something to sell the show. Well, now they've announced that the first scheduled show, January 19 in Kingston, Rhode Island, has been canceled. And WWE claims routing and scheduling issues. I don't buy that for a second. I think it was poor ticket sales.
I think WWE doesn't have routing and scheduling issues.
Well, I mean, maybe they could say, oh, Matt and Bray had to be somewhere else. I mean, who knows? But I think it's a matter of time before they cancel the other 2 as well. So we'll see. I mean, they're coming up next week, right? Next weekend.
Matt got lost in the space-time continuum, and he couldn't be there. Fell into the lake of reincarnation and couldn't make the show.
You really like that character, don't you?
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. And, yeah, you kind of saw this happening. I mean, it's something that you spoke about on a previous episode. It's just,
tough sell, yeah.
It's a tough sell. Like, the thing is, you can fill up a thing maybe the size of the Legion Hall in Reseda with some people like that, but you also have to let them work like they would work in Reseda, or else those hardcore fans aren't going to show up, and WWE doesn't do that. There's no reason for these guys to, like, go watch lesser stars water down their work.
I agree. I actually, if it was me, the first thing I would do is I would eliminate the name 205 Live. That'd be the first thing I would do because it's stupid. And then if they can get guys like Ricochet, because there's rumors about Ricochet and Will Ospreay maybe and guys like that. If they can get guys like that, and if they let them work with the handcuffs off, then maybe in a year they can fill up, because these buildings were only, 2,000 seat buildings, right? Then maybe they have a shot. But right now you're talking about a watered-down roster that are working the WWE style. And the cruiserweights is kind of the hardcore fan base is what they'd be targeting with that weight class. But this is not the real cruiserweight style of wrestling. This is WWE's version of it. And so it wasn't going to work. It just wasn't, Credit them for giving it a shot, but it wasn't going to work.
Yeah, I completely agree. Although I will say, Barrios did a speech or a talk that Brandon Howard, one of our writers, kind of tweeted out this week. And maybe I'll compile those tweets and put them in some sort of article or something like that. But he said that they use their WWE network and the geographic location to decide where they're going to tour NXT. And I think that's a very smart idea.
Oh, for sure.
And I get the feeling that those weren't the highest, the best properties for 205 Live either. I don't think that.
I agree.
It's just. Yeah,
they're actually doing a few shows in Western Ontario later this year, so maybe Western Ontario is a spot where that likes to watch NXT on the network. I mean, who knows? I guess I'm going to mention the Barrios thing now quick. I was going to mention it later, but I wanted to mention a certain quote from his thing. So this was at the 2018 Global TMT West Conference at the Bellagio in Las Vegas. Ironically enough, I was just in Las Vegas, so too bad I didn't know that he was there. But Brandon Howard, as you said, tweeted his comments, and he talked about everything. And by the way, it's the CFO of WWE, in case anybody's wondering who the hell that is. He talked about WWE struggles in India. He talked about the network. He talked about how Raw and SmackDown are undervalued brands, because obviously that's smart when you're looking for a new rights fees deal. One thing that I thought was interesting, and I wonder what Nigel's going to think of this. So a year or so ago, he was quoted, and I don't recall when. It might have been on a quarterly conference call. He was quoted as saying that WWE was no longer in the live events business. He said that they were now in the content business. And I personally thought that was a foolish thing to say, not unlike Ed Nordholm saying he drew the short straw, right?
Yeah.
Because when you've got 50 guys on the road 200 days a year that are away from their families all but 2 days a week, and you want to tell them that you're not in the live event business, how do you think that's going to go for you, right? So I thought it was a stupid thing to say. During this conference this week, he said, when he was talking about their struggles in India, he said WWE, this is a direct quote, we, meaning WWE, are the #2 sport in India behind cricket. Think that's true, Nigel? You think India, cricket, WWE? What do you think of that?
Like, where are they getting that from?
From George Barrios, the CFO of WWE.
Is there any numbers to back that, or is
No.
Okay.
Actually,
the live event they had to cancel.
Yeah, I was thinking. I bet you the YouTube views. I bet you that's what they're looking at is the YouTube
really
views.
say.
Brandon
It doesn't
Howard,
tell
you
you.
listen to the show. Give us some context about where he got that from. I bet you it was the YouTube views is where he got that from.
Well, I can tell you that we are the #1 live wrestling podcast that airs from both Ewing, Kentucky and Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
On Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Yes. Sometimes at 3:03.
Sometimes at 3:03, depending
When
on
Jimmy's late.
I was going to say depending on if Sean's on time or not.
Yeah.
So, but I found that interesting because you'd have to be a moron to think that pro wrestling, is more popular than soccer in India. Like, seriously? You know, like, they say things like that, and it makes me question either he's an idiot or he's just towing the company line to a degree that is now bordering on absurd. You know?
I would agree. Like, that was really weird. That was
Yeah,
really,
it was.
And that's the perfect segue. Nigel, let's go to stupid people.
Awesome.
This is a stupid song, it just goes on and on. You might find some meaning, but you would be wrong.
Awesome segue there, Shawn Sapp.
Yeah, I'm great at it.
Way to go, man. So, trevorstrong.org. Thanks for the rights, or not the rights, I guess the usage, whatever, of the stupid song. Haven't asked them for the rights.
Yeah, we should get those.
But I plug them every week. That's good enough.
Yeah.
So there's that. Once again, Sean, I got one for the Shawn Sapp file. And I got to tell you, I could have had 3 this week, Sean, for the Shawn Sapp file. That's how this world is, all right?
I love it.
Could have had 3, but
I'm happy to be alive.
I just picked one. So this first one, this was reported on January 7 by WHEC NBC 10 out of Rochester, New York. And again, people are sweethearts, and I say it every week. People are sweethearts, all right? A man walked into a Subway restaurant in a place called Chile, New York, last Saturday night, and he robbed the place at gunpoint, okay? Guy was 6'7", so not hard to spot. Okay, a 6'7" white guy, not hard to spot. Here's what happened. Turns out he was a recent parolee, and it turned out that he was wearing a GPS ankle monitor.
Oh, for God's sakes.
When the county's Crime Analysis Center was doing their regular monitoring of the ankle bracelets for their parolees, they discovered that on Saturday night around that time, this gentleman was at that Subway. So 32-year-old Adam J. Hedig, he was arrested and he admitted to the crime and he's back in jail. Isn't that amazing, Nigel?
That's...
Every week I say how amazing these are real stories. These are real people. It's amazing.
I'm probably going to rock the boat here, but there is a person locally who was, I don't want to say convicted. I think it was of like negligent homicide. Big situation where a teenager died locally. And that person was looking at 7 years after a plea deal because a series of events led to this death. And that person was given an opportunity to go 7 years of probation this week. It was announced Sunday that that person, I don't want to say gender or anything like that, was given this opportunity. Tuesday, they were back in jail because they violated their probation. Back in jail probably for 7 years because they drank.
Right.
How do you get this second chance and just do it? Now I understand trigtent.com, system set up to fail. Yada.
I look at it like this. I look
Stuff
at
like that, like you can't avoid taking your GPS.
I look at it like this. So if you violate parole because maybe you have a drinking problem or something, I mean, yeah, that's dumb, but I can almost, fine, you've got a problem. When you're wearing a GPS ankle monitor as a parolee, Maybe you shouldn't rob a subway at gunpoint. Might not be the best idea. Right?
Pat Fannin says, one of our writers says, Sean's talking about my hometown. I sure am.
Oh, okay. Hopefully the last name's not Fannin.
It's not. It's not.
All right. This next one, this person's last name might have been Sapp. I'm not sure. But this was reported by Channel 6 News.
What's that supposed to mean?
Well, you're going to know in a minute.
By that?
Oh, you're going to know. You're going to know.
Why are you taking shots at me?
Oh, you'll know in a minute.
You got super sensitive because I was busting out ninja rap on you. But you know every word. Yes. You know every word to that Vanilla Ice song.
Every word. You mean Ice Ice Baby?
No. Oh. Ninja rap.
Oh.
You know, it's the Green Machine, gonna rock the town without being seen. Jimmy, have you ever seen a turtle get down? Well, they're slamming and jamming to the swing sound.
It was reported by Channel 6 News out of Orlando on January 5th that a woman from West Cocoa, Florida, was in her car preparing to drive off. So she turned the car on, she put it in reverse, then suddenly a cat allegedly jumped into the car and attacked her. She decided to try escaping the cat by jumping out of the car, forgetting that she had put it in reverse, and she got run over by her own car.
Oh.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
That is phenomenal.
You have any relatives in West Cocoa, Florida?
I just want to say that cat is awesome. And pretty soon, like, I mean, if you get that kind of a victory over a human, it's not too long before you're getting the picture backstage with Triple H shaking your hand. Sign that cat.
You think it's possible that cat was in any way related to... Is this Oliver?
That's Melvin.
Oh, this is Melvin. Okay, I don't know where Oliver is. He might be back there with Randy Savage,
Melvin's
Virgil.
Maysville, Kentucky.
Okay. Well, there you go. This last one, this is one for the Sean Ross Sapp file.
Go Ninja Go.
Reported by the Scottish Sun on January 5th that a 67-year-old man out of Douglas, Lanarkshire in Scotland had to be rescued after he decided to take Viagra and then put 7 curtain rings around his penis. That's what you do, Nigel. That's how you take Viagra.
The man just wanted some privacy. He was setting up a curtain.
Well, what he did was, because he's 67, he dozed off.
Oh, no.
And when he woke up, his penis was swollen and the rings were stuck. Then to make it worse, have you seen There's Something About Mary?
Yeah.
You know how Ben Stiller gets the zipper stuck and the firefighters come and they can't do anything about it?
Yeah.
Right? Well, the firefighters came and they couldn't do anything about it. So they rushed him to the hospital and they were able to get the rings off using lubricant. And I can't believe no one else thought of that. They used lubricant and they got the rings off.
Well, my thing is, like, man, that's a ringing endorsement for Viagra. Because if...
Pun intended? Pun intended?
There you go. If you can't, like, avoid having a boner when the fire department shows up...
That's right.
Like, I can't think of anything less sexy than the fire department showing up.
Yep. He had no... Yep. It's true.
Like, who's sitting there like, yeah.
I don't know if it works like that, man. I don't know.
That cat in that tree across the road, the fire department's going to show up soon. Let's see how this unfolds.
Okay, I've talked about this before because I'm a fan of this movie. You've seen The 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Of course. I love the movie.
There's a scene where he took Viagra and he's calling Viagra's customer service or somebody's customer service, right?
They tell him to flick his testicle. And light a match. Put the ember.
There you go. Another good one. How do I segue back to pro wrestling? I'm going to try my best. Maybe because I'm segueing to The Miz. That's a nice little breather before I get back into wrestling. So WWE Films, you remember they announced a while back they're going to branch out into TV. And there were rumors that they were looking to do a reality show with The Miz at the time. So USA Network, shock of all shocks, has decided to bring on more wrestling-related content, and they're jumping on board. They're going to air a 6-episode, half-hour reality series called Miz and Mrs., and it's going to feature The Miz and Maurice as they become parents for the first time. They haven't announced an air date yet, but I think she's due in March. So I suspect it'll probably be a Q2 release. So...
I love the idea. I think Miz and Maurice are great for it. And if Crisley is a hit on the USA Network, these two stand a pretty fair chance.
Okay, you've mentioned that a few times. I don't know what the hell that is.
You're lucky.
Really?
Class, not ass. Oh boy, are you lucky.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. You ever
I
heard
make
of?
sure that I change the channel after Raw, so DirecTV doesn't have me in their algorithm as watching Chrisley Knows Best, or else they'll just start recommending that I watch Chrisley Knows Best more. It's so bad.
They
And
get
the guys
Raw
go,
as a lead-in.
Oh, well, here's what they do. It's actually how I discovered Burn Notice back in the day, and how I discovered The Ultimate Fighter, too. They'll put these shows that they want to push on right after Raw, even if they're not new. And, yeah, they'll do that, and, I mean, you know, I've discovered many shows that way. Chrisley is not one of them. Chrisley had these annoying commercials forever, but The Miz has so much going on, like between other reality shows and TV and movies and wrestling and hosting things, that I think a reality show about him could be a lot of fun. And I can't, man, hats off to that guy. I've always admired and respected The Miz, because if you just outwork people, you stand a pretty good chance. That's the way I've always looked at my type of situation, and I think it's the way that Miz looks at it, because he parlayed the real world, Jimmy, into like 5 different reality shows, a WWE career, movies. Hats off to that.
I agree, and I remember in Daniel Bryan's book, he talked about when they were doing the NXT. NXT initially was like a Tough Enough contest.
Sure.
And Daniel Bryan talked about how he was paired with The Miz, and the other wrestlers that were supposed to be the pros, they acted like, I don't really want to do this, and it's like another day of work on the road and stuff. And he said The Miz was all about it. The Miz was like, we're going to make this the best thing it can be. So, yeah, good for him that he's got this opportunity. Doesn't hurt to have Maurice in there, too.
Oh, it sure doesn't.
So, we'll see how that goes. So, let me ask you this question. So, you're growing out your wonderful little mane there.
Yeah.
And I know you're doing it for a good cause, right?
Uh-huh.
And aren't you planning on eventually cutting it off and it's going to one of those cancer hair charities?
I would like to do wigs for kids based on how long I can handle it. It's got to be like, depending on where you're donating it, it's got to be a certain length. Yeah.
Okay, so my question for you is, obviously you're doing this for a reason, and so it's hard to ask you this question based on that. But let's say that you're growing your hair out just because you wanted a new look.
Yeah.
Right? And Nigel's playing with his hair as we speak, and he's like actually twirling it in his fingers while I'm actually telling the story. And he just stopped. So here's my question for you. What would you say would be your price to shave your head?
Well, it depends. Like as of right now?
Well, it's different because you're doing it for a reason. But let's say as of right now, or Nigel's hair is a little longer than yours. So what would be your price to shave your head?
Oh, man, I used to have ridiculously long hair. Like, this is nothing.
Yeah?
And people were like, I'm talking like down to like my waist.
Really?
And like people would always be like, oh, how much would, and I was like, when I'm ready, I'll get rid of it. And then when we finally took it off, I donated it. Yeah. We got 6 22-inch ponytails out of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
Did you shave your head or you just cut it?
Just cut it, and then I grew it out again because I had like the man bun going for a while.
Yeah.
I donated that again, and then that time I shaved my head.
You shaved your head. You did. Okay.
I know where you're going, the Sean Waltman thing.
Sean Waltman thing, yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it's tough for me because, you know, I'm doing it. I had a friend who passed away and she had cancer and she didn't have hair. And I remembered something that Matt Riddle told me. Like, it's so weird that a guy like Matt Riddle can say things so simple and it makes you think. He's like, you should grow your hair out because there's a lot of people who wish that they could and couldn't for many different reasons.
There you go.
And I was like, man, that's deeper than he intended. But yeah, it stuck with me. But like, for right now, if like somebody came right now and said shave your head, I would say make it worth it so I can donate something to like financially to whatever it is. As a wrestler, somebody like Sean Waltman, who's had long hair forever,
it's part of his trademark.
I don't blame him for putting a high price tag on it. And,
I agree.
Like, I mean, to say, oh, would you cut your hair, buzz your hair right now for the right price? Of course, because let's be real, Jimmy, I'm a whore. I'm a whore.
And what would be the right price, Sean? I'm just curious. What would be the right price? I'm thinking about it, Nigel.
You should, yeah.
Probably go 10,000.
10,000. You'd like bald?
Bald. I'd buzz it.
You'd buzz it like to the shortest possible, right?
Yeah. But see, I mean, the thing is, and I've actually considered this about growing my hair. I got to think of ways. There are times I've had to put it back, like hide it, because I don't want to come across as a doof on air. We have our fun and all that stuff.
Yes, it's very hard for you to do that normally.
Well, I mean, I do like to maintain some semblance of professionalism. Like, I don't want to be this. Dave Meltzer's the straight man in professional wrestling journalism.
Yes, he is.
He doesn't joke. He doesn't do that. I don't want to be that.
Yeah, I agree.
But I do want to maintain a semblance of professionalism because it is my career. So
yeah,
this is a part of it.
You and I have talked about this, and I have the utmost respect for Dave Meltzer, so I'm not trying to shit on him. But you and I have talked about how as he's gotten older, he's turning into Rain Man. Like he is. He's turning into Rain Man. Like he repeats himself constantly, and he cuts himself off mid-sentence. But I have a lot of respect for him. I've just noticed as he's aged that he's changed.
I view him more as just the straight man in professional wrestling. And you got to have one of those. You got to have one of those guys who doesn't – I mean, occasionally he'll do it. But you got to have one of those guys that just doesn't make jokes, doesn't make light of things. To me, I do things a different way, and – yes,
you do, Shawn. Absolutely, you do. So let's tell the story. So Shawn Waltman on his podcast recently was talking about Triple Mania. I looked up the match. It was from July 15, 2007, for the AAA promotion in Mexico. He was in a 6-man cage match that they call Domo de la Muerta, which means Dome of Death. And the person that was in the ring last, because they do things differently in Mexico, the person that was in the ring last had to get their head shaved. The promoter went to Shawn Waltman and said, what do you think about being the guy to lose the match? And Shawn Waltman named the price $50,000 US. Well, he's based in the US, but $50,000 to get his head shaved. The promoter very wisely went with Kenzo Suzuki for $5,000 instead. So, and again,
Waltman said, get your money up front, buddy.
Yes, he did. He said, get your money up front. Yeah. And again, I mean, I realized by then he was out of WWE by then, but he was still working the independents, and that was his trademark. So I don't blame him. But I thought that was interesting. Did
you ever see where he did a Chikara show and they had him run back the 1-2-3 Kid gimmick?
No, I did not.
And this was several years ago, but he busted out the 1-2-3 Kid offense. Too.
Really?
It was very cool. He shaved for it. And
he
everything.
Did. I got to look that up.
Yeah, he shaved his beard for it. It was really, really cool. And also, I thought it was really cool that he didn't think that he was above doing that type of thing too.
Right.
Because he had moved on, and as cool as that gimmick was initially, he was a grown man, and X-Pac and Six had both had the success. But Shawn Waltman's a very down-to-earth dude. I like him a lot.
I've noticed he doesn't even wear the do-rag every day anymore. So.
He helped me out with with one of the more colorful quotes for my Brawl for All article. Oh my God!
So I remember watching his show, and I'm not a podcast guy, but I watched an episode because Matt Riddle was on, and I wanted to watch Riddle. And Riddle mentioned that at the time he was doing a podcast with you. Yeah. And Shawn Waltman goes, "Who are you doing it with?" And Matt Riddle goes, "Shawn Ross Sapp." And X-Pac goes, "I think he reached out to me one time. Man, I should get back to him."
Yeah,
that's what he said.
Well, he made sure he's a very good dude. I wasn't getting the transcripts from his podcast like a lot of sites were.
Right.
And I just reached out and I was like, "Hey, can I get these? I would like them." He made sure I got them because I didn't the first couple of times, and he went to the site, checked it out, and he said, "Hey, I just want to make sure. Are you getting these?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am," or "No, I'm not." And he made sure that I was. So. Cool.
Well, good
a lot
for him.
of respect for him for protecting his podcast, too, making sure it gets out there.
Yeah, and he seems like a good guy, and I know that the podcast network he's on is owned by the husband of Maria Menounos. Menounos, I'm sorry. But I love her. I have a lot of respect for her. So.
Me too.
Yeah.
I hope she goes into the Hall of Fame one day just to piss off all those people that booed her.
And have Bob Backlund induct her.
I hope so.
That'd be amazing.
Great.
Yeah, I agree. I just have a lot of respect for her. She's such a big fan of wrestling and respects it, So let's talk about virtual reality, Shawn. I got to admit, I have only one time in my life put a virtual reality headgear on, and that was when I was in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and I was at some kind of, I don't know what it was, some kind of a museum or something, and they had a thing where you put this on, and it was kind of cool. But I'm not a big gamer. I haven't done the virtual reality otherwise. What about you guys? You ever done virtual reality?
Just in similar gimmicky situations what you were describing.
Yeah, and you, Shawn?
I had a video game system in 1995. It was the successor to the Game Boy called the Virtual Boy, and Virtual Boy, did it suck ass.
Wasn't that red? It was red, right?
Yeah, you could only play it 15, 20 minutes at a time before you went blind. And they would pop up with warnings saying, "Hey, you should take a break." And I'm like, "Why did you make this?"
Because you're gonna die if you keep using it.
You're gonna die. And I've done one of those VR with the phone in it gimmicks. Nah, it's super cheap.
Yeah. Okay, well, I haven't done any of the. Obviously, they're getting more and more advanced, and I haven't really checked it out. But WWE announced this week in a press release that they're teaming up with NextVR, which broadcasts live events in virtual reality. They're going to be producing what they call virtual reality experiences. They're going to be 10 minutes in length, featuring highlights from select WWE events in 2018, and you're going to be able to get the content for free on a new WWE channel within the NextVR app. So that should be very interesting. I'll actually check that out.
I will definitely check it out. And in relation to video games, I'm looking for more Fightful.com video game content because, as I told you, I was like, it's not necessarily my thing, but it's somebody's thing, a lot of somebody's thing. And we've got Mike Straw, who's done a bunch of video game stuff. We've got Brian Rose, who still does Nintendo-related stuff. It's one of the only things we would let him do outside of Fightful.
Yep.
And I'll check this out. Hell yeah, I'll check this out.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
If it means less travel, if it means I don't have to show up at a place and take in the show, whatever.
Well, I thought it was interesting that Triple H posted a photo on Twitter of Vince McMahon wearing that headgear. And the photo looks the way you would expect it to look. Vince McMahon in a suit, sitting in a chair, wearing the headgear. You could only see like the bottom half of his face, but he looks completely dumbfounded. So, that was quite interesting.
I'm looking forward. I mean, I'll definitely check it out. I'm looking forward to it.
Right. Awesome. All right, man, let's segue to your last interview
You
clip.
son of a bitch.
Hey, you took my stupid people segue, all right? You took my stupid people segue, so I'm jumping into your last one with Stokely Hathaway.
I did it seamlessly.
No, it was terrible. It was terrible. You said, speaking of weird, let's go to stupid people. Wasn't good.
It was as beautiful as the transition from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 to Secret of the Ooze.
You're really a massive fan of that shit, aren't you?
I loved Ninja Turtles.
What is with that?
My favorite Super Nintendo game was Turtles in Time.
I love that game. I love that game.
You're just hardcore, man.
Yeah,
it was phenomenal.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell some people a little story that I shouldn't tell in case we don't get it done. So I got a buddy that's tight with Kevin Nash, and I said to Shawn off the air, "Do you want me to get you an interview?"
Holy crap! I didn't even make the connection.
You didn't? For real? You didn't make the connection?
Hot dog!
So Kevin Nash, Nigel, he's like 6'10", and he played Super Shredder in one of those Turtles movies.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So you didn't make the connection to that? I can't believe it, Shawn.
Yeah, Nigel, he was Super Shredder in Secret of the Ooze. After he has the dock collapse on him and everything and pops up, that's him. And ironically, Sheamus ended up being in a Ninja Turtles movie. I haven't watched any of the newer ones, though.
Lies.
I ain't about that life.
Lies. Lies.
I haven't watched the new ones. I haven't watched one since the computer generated when they did. But I love the cartoon, love the video games, and love the first movies. That's when I grew up, Jimmy. That's when I grew up. What did you all have? You all probably watched Street Sharks or some shit in Canada.
I don't even know what that is.
I did watch Street Sharks, which is hilarious.
What the hell is that?
It was a show that was on TV when I was a kid. It was like these biker sharks.
Biker sharks.
Hathaway talking about Evolve and MLW 0 Hour. He's got a busy weekend.
Were the streets underwater?
I think he's trying to segue.
I don't care. Were they underwater?
No, it was just like they were just biker sharks for some reason. Really? They were just these like street toughs.
So they were air breathing street sharks.
Yep.
Were they wearing leather jackets and shit too?
I think they were mostly shirtless, but like
they were shirtless.
If I remember
shirtless
correctly.
Street sharks on the street.
Yeah, but they wore jeans though. I'm pretty sure.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
For Battletoads?
Just press the button, Nigel.
Once on a post on ringofhonorwrestling.com, you said that R.D. Evans is a liar, a thief, a manipulator, a con man, a goof, and a twit. He is now working for WWE Creative. I would just like any comment on that.
I don't recall ever saying that. I think that was a misquote. I don't know where you got that from. Wow. I mean, it sounds like someone is trying to like set me up to fail. That's like, it's really disheartening to hear, Shawn, and the fact that you would bring that up. I'm appalled. I don't recall ever saying such a thing.
As Riddle said when I booked you on our show, I'm doing my extra work, Stokely.
Okay. I mean, who sent you that? Because that's a lie. I don't know. That's a complete fabrication.
You also have Evolve 98, January 13th. It's a busy weekend for you, right? I mean,
yeah,
all over the place.
I mean, it's a busy week. Yeah, it's a busy week, a busy weekend. Evolve 98 that's the 13th on Saturday, and then Sunday before Evolve 99, it is Style Battle, and then one of the bigger matches is Nick Gage versus Walter, which I cannot wait to see. Someone is going to get murdered, hurt, assaulted. I mean, Nick Gage even called out the owner, Gabe Sapolsky, on Twitter. I think this was like maybe 2 days ago. He was like, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know how I'm on the show, but someone is going to get assaulted, and I cannot wait to see it.
So who all do you have in your camp for Evolve 98, 99, and Style Battle?
Well, Evolve 98, I'm kind of stuck in the middle, and I would say this is probably going to happen a lot because I have my hands in so many different pots, but it's going to be Ring Conf, Timothy Thatcher and Walter versus Catchpoint, Tracy Williams, and Dominic Guarini. So, I'm kind of in the middle.
Evolve has you billed as being with Tracy and Guarini.
That's not necessarily true. That's not true. When you look at the graphic in that video, it just is with Stokely Hathaway at the bottom. So I plan to manage both teams because, Thatcher was a part of the Dream Team. I'm trying to purchase Ring Comp. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm on both sides. It's 50-50 right now. So, we will see. And Evolve 99, you have Chris Dickinson in action. You have Jaka, you have Tracy, you have Dom again. And then as far as Style Battle goes, I'm just observing. I'm just seeing who's there. I'm just there to see how Walter, how he does against Nick Gage, and then, I'll take it from there.
What are some other stables? I think that maybe that's a segment of its own. Stables that you would or wouldn't purchase.
I mean, throw some names out there. I don't know.
The York Foundation.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I'd love to purchase Titus Worldwide. Actually, I don't think that Titus would allow that though. I think we'd be in negotiations for probably 6 to 7 years. I think we both wouldn't budge. So I don't know about that one. Trying to think. I'd love to purchase DX. Bring that back.
Raven's Nest. He spent all that money on that lawsuit. He's got to make something back.
Yeah. That's a good one. I'm trying to think. Oh, the Nation of Domination. You could be in that, Shawn. You could be the Owenhart.
I could. I thought you were going to say I could be the Jason Sensation. I was like, I hope not. I hope not.
Nah, you can be the Owenhart. I'm trying to think who would be. I think I'd be The Rock. I'm trying to think who would be Farouk. I think Jaka would be Farouk. Yeah.
Would you give him a picture of himself?
Yes.
That's a future segment that Fightful viewers, listeners can look forward to, where I run down a list of stables that either you would or wouldn't purchase, and you tell me why. But you got this busy weekend coming up. Definitely encourage everybody to check out MLW 0 Hour. Evolve both Saturday and Sunday, and Style Battle on Sunday. Stokely, thank you so much, man.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, we're back.
Oh, and just like that, it got clear again.
Yeah, I know.
So it was because of the thing you were playing?
No. It's Skype.
Really?
This is just nice timing.
It's because Jimmy Van's heart was growing multiple sizes on that day, like the Grinch.
Is that what it was?
He was talking about being generous, and all of a sudden the internet connection just miraculous.
God.
Oh, you got Scott or somebody hacking at the lines with an axe.
I'll see what it is. Yeah. You know what? I actually want to tell a very, very quick story. Because you might find it funny. So during that break, while the interview was playing, Shawn and I were talking about this random stuff, fridges and all this stuff, and you happened to say, "You live, you learn," right?
Yeah.
That's a quote you used. You live, you learn, and that immediately made me think of a story that I have to tell. When I started this company years ago, one of my first clients defaulted on a bill, right? And they were not responsive to me and just deadbeats, whatever. I went to a show in London, England, to a trade show. And I'll never forget, I turned a corner at the show and I looked down the aisle and there he was, right? And
wow.
And I thought, boom, This is my chance. And I went up to him, and I started shitting on him, and I started basically telling you, this is what you owe me, and blah, 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 blah. And you know what he actually said to me when I was telling him, you owe me this, and you're this late, and all this kind of stuff? He looked me in the eye, and he goes, well, you live and you learn.
Damn.
And I actually looked at him and said, you live and you learn what? Not to work with you? Like, what does that mean in this context? How is that part of this conversation? That's what he said.
In my context, it's because I often learn from either screwing up or fucking up or making a mistake. And
in your case, it made sense. In your story, it made sense.
Yeah. But
in my story, when a deadbeat says you live and you learn, as if to say, well, it's your mistake because you worked with me. That's basically...
No, that's when you put Ventura on an Air Canada flight with a ball bat and have her go after his legs. Like, you get your money. You get your money.
I could tell you what happened to that person. I'm not going to tell you what happened to that person. All I'm going to say is that person is no longer with us.
Ventura.
It really makes it seem like you iced him.
Had nothing to do with me. Had nothing to do with me. But sometimes karma happens, Nigel.
I'm sure it didn't have anything to do with you.
Nothing to do with me. No.
The name of the game in Toronto was loyalty. I learned loyalty in Toronto. Just so you know, Jimmy. I'm loyal.
I like this look when he's got both hands up. Like I like it.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it. So let's move on from that, and let's talk about how congratulations to Heath Slater. Congratulations, because for the first time in your career, Heath Slater, you made Fox News. Congratulations.
Let's just put this out there. He made Fox News a week after he made Fightful for the same story.
But it's okay because they at least reference the date of it, so it's okay. They reference the date of it. So Fox News, Nigel, they made mention of a WWE wrestler named Heath Slater, who's kind of like a lower card guy. First time he's ever been on Fox News, mainstream publication. It was foxnews.com. Congratulations to him, except the reason Fox News mentioned him was because on December 30th, he was on a flight headed to Miami to do the Raw taping, and he got trapped in the restroom when the door lock jammed. That's why he ended up on Fox News. Curtis Axel was on the same flight with him, and he did what I think you and I would have done, Shawn. He pulled out his phone and started recording.
Oh, of course.
When the flight staff were trying to get him out. And finally, they were able to get him out. Funny enough, because there's video of it, when they opened the door, he was leaning on the sink in the restroom, kind of embarrassed about the whole thing, because the whole plane was, checking it out.
That's amazing.
And what did he do? He went to Raw on the Monday, and Braun Strowman beat the shit out of him in a TV match. So, good for him. But I thought that whole thing was pretty funny.
This just hit the waves. Apparently, Mike Johnson, a PW Insider, breaking the news of a guy that we've reported on a lot, Gabe Sapolsky, signing or is due to sign a contract with WWE as a consultant.
Okay.
Fair.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, he's not leaving WWN, though, right?
I don't think so.
No.
Also, I wanted to get your thoughts on the teaser of the All-In date, September 1st, 2018. Now, this was curious to me, Jimmy, because I thought, if anything, it would be a little bit later because of a guy named Daniel Bryan.
Yeah. You know what? I will say this. This was actually the last thing on my list today, ironically enough, was talking about that. And I want to say this, and I talked earlier about how right now New Japan and Ring of Honor is what the cool kids are supposed to like, Shawn, in pro wrestling. The cool kids right now like New Japan Pro Wrestling and Ring of Honor. They are the Instagram right now, Nigel, of the online world. Not Facebook.
Would you say they are the Instagram.com/Fightful online?
That's what they are right now. That's what they are. Okay. So I will say this. So September 1st is going to be the date of their show. They're going to be apparently calling it All In. They haven't announced the location yet. I'm going to guess it's going to be either Chicago or somewhere in California. Chicago because they have the relationship with Pro Wrestling Tees. Plus Chicago is a pretty big hotbed for wrestling, and Ring of Honor is popular in Chicago. Or California because that's where the Bucks are located. I think it's going to be one or the other. I want to say this. So I give these guys credit for making this attempt. It's going to be a 10,000-plus seat arena that they're going to run. And good on them. But I don't know how this is a massive news story. Like, I don't understand how this is all over the internet because it's a one-off show that they're promoting. And there's hundreds of those a year in the U.S.
They're good at it. That's just it. They're good at getting stuff
No, it's
out
because
there.
It's the Bullet Club. That's why.
They're good at making things bigger than what they should be.
Yeah. And it's not till September. Like, how is this even news?
People are asking, like, why aren't you saying that's the date? Because I don't know if that's the date. That might be the date of a press conference for all I know.
It could be because you're right.
Like, because I don't know why you would do a show on September 1st, 2018, unless you were straight up told by Daniel Bryan, I'm not leaving WWE. And Daniel Bryan, I don't know that he's indicated that publicly, but yeah, he's a guy that can help fill up 10,000 seats. There are guys out there that can help them. I just hope it's financially viable for them because I want them to succeed. I enjoy so much of the stuff they put out there. I think Cody Rhodes is a brilliant character. Kenny Omega's among the best wrestlers in the world. The Young Bucks, what they do with being the elite is nothing short of brilliant. I love it. Yeah, but, I hope they have success.
I agree. They've done real well. The Hot Topic thing has gone really well for them too. Omega, I have a ton of respect for, and not because he's another good Canadian kid. He's an elite level stud, that guy. So I have a lot of respect for him. Cody, I've always been a little bit gray area on. I don't care too much, but he's done very well for himself. Don't get me wrong.
Did you see that goddamn crossroads off the apron he did?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Oh my God, it's like Kota Ibushi. I said it to Robbie Radford on our post Wrestle Kingdom show.
Yeah.
It's like Kota Ibushi was like, "Hey, you remember that neck I broke a couple years ago?
Right.
Let's fucking do it again."
I did see that. Yeah.
Did you catch our Wrestle Kingdom show?
I did not.
Robbie Radford rocked.
Well, that was good.
A good watch. And it's a nice change of pace, too. Like, I don't like to have all the same people who look the same and sound the same and stuff like that. Having a dude from the UK, nice change of pace. I liked it, hoping that we can do more with him.
Good, man.
Very good dude.
Good. Well, that's it for my list this week. You said you've got questions?
I do have questions. Let me pull them up. Although the Young Bucks just tweeted that the All In Twitter already has over 10,000 followers. Sold! It's filled up! There you go.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because they all have the money to fly to this location from wherever they're based. But I will say this, though. I bet you they do get at least 5,000. They get at least 5,000.
I think they can get – well, they'll definitely get that. But what I'm liking is the memes that are coming out. Like, people are putting Daryl Takahashi, the stuffed cat, on the All-In poster thing now.
Okay, yeah.
Which is good. Chief already asked All In Bullet Club show where it will be held. Is he allowing you to expense your travel for that show? We have people close enough to that where that show will be, I think.
Good answer.
Who does Shane fight at Rumble and Mania? I don't think Shane fights anybody at Rumble.
No.
At Mania?
Daniel Bryan if he's cleared.
Man.
Because that's what Daniel Bryan's gunning for. He's gunning for Mania. So
that would be a fart just laid right down. Daniel Bryan's back.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like they're positioning Shane as a heel, kind of, because he's doing things that are making him irritating a little bit on television.
Oh, a lot. Like, he's at Stephanie McMahon level for me now. Like,
well,
dude, he's running out and interrupting main event matches all the time, like, and title matches and all this stuff. Like, him interrupting and reversing a decision is the new, you got yourselves a tag team match. That's what it is now.
But at least he doesn't come out with music that starts with, celebrate, da-da-da-da-da-da. And he doesn't have the smoker's voice, and he doesn't, he's not Stephanie yet. He's not there yet.
Where is the person that remixed Vince Russo singing Shawn Michaels' theme?
That guy was amazing. We got to get that guy.
We had people, I found it in researching the Fightful moments of 2017, who did the R-Truth remix with me saying, "What's up, you guys?"
Yes.
That was a good one as well. Like, there was some overlooked stuff there.
If you can find that guy, I will do a few lines of that song, just enough that they could get that going.
We could do a full album. Like, you call it Trevor Strong and just.
I should have Trevor Strong do Stephanie's music. That's a good idea, man. I'm gonna hit that dude up. I'm gonna hit him up. He's from Kingston, Ontario, Canada. I'm gonna hit him up.
And the last question: do you think Ronda Rousey will be number 30, or at least in the Rumble?
I think she will be in the Rumble.
I think we're going to see more surprises out of the women's Rumble than the men's.
Oh, out of necessity, I think you're going to see more surprises. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if there are no, quote unquote guys from the past in the men's Rumble. They didn't do it last year, and it depends on if you look at a guy like, do you consider Cena a guy, from the past? Not really. Taker?
Yeah.
Maybe, not really, So, yeah, the women need it more. I still think Trish Stratus will be in there. I think both the Bellas are going to be in there. I think Lita's going to be in. You think Caitlyn's going to be in? So.
Do you think so?
And they got a lot of spots to fill,
We're working on something with Caitlyn right now, actually. Somebody says, Shawn, tell the post-show tweet story for Monday. Oh, okay. So a guy that runs a competing wrestling website.
Of any significance?
I mean, I think they do good traffic, but
because you know, Shawn, you don't acknowledge the little guy, Shawn.
Well, that's the thing. Okay, so this guy tagged me, tagged Alex, tagged Fightful, and then tagged everybody who was going to be on the Wrestling Inc. post show, our competitor.
Okay.
And said, "We're going live right after Raw." And I was like,
For his post show?
Yeah, and he doesn't follow any of us.
Well, he did it because anybody following you, he's hoping to pull him over, obviously.
Of course, but I'm like, dude, we have our own shows.
Well, that's what he's banking on. That's what he was banking on.
Well, I don't think. I'm going to say this. I don't think he's bright enough for that.
So you don't think that was intentional? You thought he was just an idiot?
Yeah. Lowest common denominator type of stuff.
Did you look at the view count for his show? That show?
Wasn't good.
For that show, no?
Wasn't good. Wasn't good. All due respect to our competitors. I maintain nice relationships with everybody. I left negativity in 2016, Jimmy.
Yeah. Well, let me see. You started with us in July, so I'd say you left it by Q4.
I did. I just don't like that. I don't like to go at people on Twitter anymore.
Maybe Q2 of 17.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm a ray of sunshine, Jim. I go as far as to say that.
I will admit you've gotten better, but at the same time, I can't recall the last time somebody shit on you on social media unless I missed it.
Because I didn't address it.
It's good, man. You see what happens when you learn from me, Shawn?
There was a guy who said that I was racist because I didn't like a Naomi promo.
And did you go off on him?
I wouldn't say go off.
That means
on him.
yes. That means yes.
No, I wouldn't say go off on him. I think he embarrassed himself so much that like I was like, guys, this is what happens. And then he ended up getting himself into a situation where he had to hide his tweets and all that stuff. So
I saw a tweet today, and I had to chuckle, where there was some British woman that had tweeted, I guess to her followers, trying to decide whether or not to cook some porridge or to just have cereal. That's basically what she said. Some guy responded and said, "You are a fat feminist cunt." And to her credit, and this was the best part, she responded to him and said, "Boy, this guy must really not like cereal."
I'm going to be honest. Listen. I hate to advocate this, Jimmy.
Good answer, I thought. Good answer. Yes. Good response.
I hate to advocate this, but only cunts eat porridge. Let's be real.
But that's what you deal with social media. These are the kinds of people you deal with on social media. You know? And her response was because there's no answer after that. You know what I mean?
Exactly what you
Perfect response. Yeah.
Well, you all won't deal with people like that on our social media. You can follow Jimmy at Jimmy Van or me at Shawn Ross Sapp. We have that contest going on over at Instagram.com/FightfulOnline. I found 2 random copies of Fire Pro Wrestling Returns on PS2. I'll probably give them away somehow. If you still got a PS2, you can play it. We've got a ton of stuff.
Were those Blockbuster rentals, Shawn?
Huh?
Were those Blockbuster rentals?
No, I've had like 3 copies. I don't know how. I just ended up with
2. So I was going to say, we're at the very least, peel off the Blockbuster thing from the back first, will you? Before you...
I bought them from GameStop, never opened one of them, and the tag was still on. I was like, son of a bitch. But we got books, we got all kinds of stuff. And, of course, we have tons of content over at Fightful.com, FightfulWrestling.com, FightfulMMA.com, Usos Forum. I want to see you guys in those live discussions as well. I'm going to be there every Monday, Tuesday during Raw and SmackDown and pay-per-views. Jimmy, you got anything else?
No, we're losing your feed again, so we got to get off the air. But I was in Vegas.
God damn it.
I went to Vegas. I went to a Vegas Golden Knights hockey game. And I got to tell you, would not have thought, hottest hockey crowd outside the playoffs I have ever been a part of. Was watching a regular season Vegas Golden Knights hockey game against the New York Rangers. That crowd was insane. It was a very interesting experience.
Man, I guess that kind of, like, a lot of the people had said, oh, you can't take a pro sports team to Vegas. It's all tourists. They're not loyal enough, stuff like that.
No, it's a massive ticket there.
Well for them, right?
Yeah, I mean, the T-Mobile Arena is basically, they say off the strip, but it's on the strip. You just basically leave one of the casinos. It's right there. But I was actually walking through the airport wearing this hoodie, and a woman working at, like, one of the shops actually yelled out, I love your hoodie. Like, they've definitely got a fan base.
That's incredible.
So, good for
guys. Make sure you follow us. Visit Fightful.com early and often. Until next time, guys, we are out.